like I've maintained, I believe everything I read in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs said that they're given till April 1st as their self-imposed deadline, and after April 1st, if they can't get anywhere in their negotiations, and again, I don't want to step in the middle of their negotiations with the city. If things fall apart, there's an option, and we're the option, or we're one of the options. Whatever way that the Cubs want to look at it, we're willing to talk to them, and we're willing to give them a very pristine piece of property that I think makes a lot of sense for them.
Now, you know what? You have the entertainment center going there. I mean, you're not a Johnny-come-lately. You guys have a dome out there now where you're going to have softball. You have baseball. You have a football camps there in that area. You have an entertainment center. You have the 9th largest convention center. You're no small player here, but you understand politics. You know this is a deal where if they were to move, you understand, even though you want the team, and it wouldn't be your fault that they did come to Rosemont, the ramifications that maybe Chicago faces if they lose that entity from where they are, property taxes and what have you.
Well, obviously, we do entertainment in Rosemont, and we do it well with the Allstate and the Convention Center, the Rosemont Theater, and our new MB Financial Park entertainment project. The ballpark at Rosemont where the women's softball team, the Bandits, plays, and the new dome that's associated with it. I think that adding the Cubs and a facility for them to play in an atmosphere that is, I would say, 3 times as large as what they have in property down at Wrigley, that's the crowning jewel to the entertainment destination that is Rosemont. And if we can negotiate something along those lines, and obviously it's a negotiation, we'd be willing to put the land up as the carrot, so to say.
Okay, let me ask you this, though, Brad.
There's something out here.
Let me ask you this, though. Okay, for the Cub fans or for people that say if they move from that area, they won't draw. Explain to people, and I'm sure you did your studies. I'm sure you know when you did the entertainment center how much access there is to Rosemont from highways, airplanes, L trains, roads, different expressways. Try to alleviate fears of Cub fans what they would be getting if they came out there.
Well, you have the blue line that dumps off on River Road right there on the way into Air. The site is adjacent to a metro station. It's right there. It would serve the property well from the folks coming from the south end of Chicago.
But you don't think you'd have attendance problem? Some people are saying if the Cubs ever move there and go anywhere else, they would not be able to draw if they have a bad ball club the same amount of people. I know for myself, I don't buy that. I think that there's more accessibility to Rosemont than there is to a neighborhood on the north side of Chicago to most people.
Absolutely. Within a mile, you have the Manheim Road that connects to every major thoroughfare, 294 north and south, 90 going into the city, 90 going out towards Schaumburg. Every main artery leads here. The beauty and the success of Rosemont has been a lot. The foundation has been a lot on our location. We've taken a location that in the early years in the mid to late 50s, everybody proved that Rosemont was just a flooding area that nobody wanted anything to do with, and this man took this site and created what I took over in 2007 and continued to grow. And, the economy is struggled, and today, and you can't argue the numbers.
No.
Today, we continue to build, and we continue to build quality and classy venues that bring people to our community. Again, we do entertainment, and we do it really well, and we're proud of that. And then, again...
So you think you could draw big crowds here, but let me ask you this. Was this your idea? Was this your idea? Was this something that was a committee idea? Was this something that was being bandied about? Or did somebody else come out, an outsider, come up with this idea?
Over the last month or so, again, I read the papers, I watch the news, I listen to what's going on, and I thought that we should offer ourselves up as an option if the Cubs can't operate their business the way that they should be allowed to operate their business. just think about Theo Epstein having $50 or $70 million additional to go out and enter the free agent market and get some other players. I mean, yeah, they've got some good young talent, but it takes a mix of young and old to make things work. And I think that all in all, Cub fans want a winner. The quaintness and the neighborhood around Wrigley, I can't argue. There's no way I can argue that. But at the end of the day, Cub fans have had a loser and losing records for the most part of the last 100 years.
This is interesting.
That shouldn't be.
Yeah.
They're a great franchise, and they should be putting players on the field and winning games and playing night games just like the rest of MLB is playing. I mean, the MLB average is 57 night games per year. They're allowed to play 30 at Wrigley. That's an unfair advantage right there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you this too because you're for the record, and you're listening to Mayor Brad Stevens, the mayor of the village of Rosemont, one of the, if not the trendsetters in this state for sure. Now, let me go on record as saying I've known Brad and I've known the Stevens family and I've known his father and everybody there for over 20 years. You won't find a better group of people. I wasn't surprised because I believe you have inherited the vision, okay, from, I mean, this is sort of like, you brought up the fact that there would free up money for the Cubs to buy free agents. I mean, you took a whole different angle. I believe Rahm Emanuel has a different reason for making the Cubs stay there, and it wouldn't be, hey, you'll be able to go down and get maybe Mike Trout from the Angels. You are saying this, hey, if they win, they'll come, but even if they lose, the village has enough other things to do there, including the entertainment center, that would suffice what people get down at Wrigley.
Absolutely, and there's enough land here. I think the Wrigley Field sits on a little over 7 acres, almost 8 acres. And we're talking about a 25-acre piece of property where the Cubs can develop a little bit of Wrigley around this new facility. Again, I understand it's not in what people call Wrigleyville, but in reality, that neighborhood's Lake. It's not Wrigleyville. It's Wrigleyville because Wrigley's there. And I'm a baseball guy. I think I understand the game. I will admit that I'm a Sox guy.
Well, let me ask you this real quick.
Politician. I can flip flop.
Is this something? Yeah. Well, there's no question about the flip flopping. But let me ask you this: you do it for business. And you know what? The Cubs are a very unique franchise, and you know, to have them in our community, obviously that's a huge feather in our cap. But furthermore, I think that it's a great opportunity to have the option for the Cubs if they can't make the deal. Again, if they can't make the deal where they're at. And then is that deal going to be a long-term deal that they don't have any issues with the neighborhood communities? You know, the alderman's in a tough spot. He's trying to manage the rooftop owners and the team, and I do not relish that one bit. I would not want anything to do with that. And again, if there's a play after April 1st, I'll be sitting by the phone waiting. Hopefully, the Ricketts folks or whoever Tom Ricketts says to get in touch with Rosemont. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Brad. We're Brad Stevens, mayor of the village of Rosemont. He's done a tremendous job out there, continuing on the legacy of his father, Donald E. Stevens. Let me ask you about the White Sox and other people. Are you expecting maybe another call from maybe another franchise? I mean, the White Sox were supposed to move to Addison over 25, 30, 35 years ago. Jerry Reinsdorf wanted to do that. If there's any team that needs regentrification of the area and needs more fans, it would be the Chicago White Sox. There's the argument that if the Chicago White Sox came to Wrigley and the Cubs moved, and maybe this is what the Cubs fear, that that would not be a good thing. I want to ask you this. Are you expecting to get more calls? And if the White Sox called, would the same deal be in place?
I wouldn't take anybody's call. That's why, again, the success of Rosemont is any developer that wants to take a look at a piece of property, we sit down, we talk to them, and have an open and honest discussion about it. So if there was another sports franchise that contacted us, obviously I'd talk to them. But I don't know that the deal that they have at USL is something that they want to walk away from.
Yeah, they might have a lease.
In the sense of the White Sox. So, you know, again, we're willing to negotiate, and I'm sure that we can put a very attractive package together that makes Rosemont very attractive to the Cubs.
Okay, would you do this, Brad? Would you do this? You'd have a big parking lot all around the ballpark, and you'd probably build other entertainment venues, because you said Wrigley basically was on 7 or 8 acres, and this is our last question, 7 or 8 acres, but you'd have the lot, but you'd also, if I know you'd bring entertainment there, so you'd build another Wrigleyville, not as rustic, if you will, but you'd give people the entertainment value after the ball games, right?
Well, and we've already built our entertainment district, which is a few blocks to the east of this property, just across I-294. We'd be willing to give this 25 acres to the Cubs and let them develop it. Whatever let them plan the site. That's the thing. You know, we're not going to tell the Cubs what they need to do. The Cubs are going to tell us what they'd like to do, and then we'll tell them if it's something that makes sense for the village. And if it makes sense for the village, you know, we're in a position where I think we can make a good deal for the village of Rosemont and a great deal for the Cubs.